thunder away from what he's working on.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is fun. Hi. I'm Eric Dalgleish. I was the bug master on the JIRA team for about 15 months, and what the bug master does is they're responsible for looking after the bugs in JIRA. It's a very demanding job. There's aspects of people management, project management, some development, and everything in between. So it's quite challenging. So today I'm going to be talking about our triage process, our warranty bug process, how we prioritize bugs, the QA processes we use. I'm going to talk about actually the one that we use for features as well as the one that we use for bugs. And I'm going to be talking about the workflows that we use. So on best practices, stuff that we do is stuff that we do because it works for us. We consider it to be best practice. But if it doesn't work for you, then it's not best practice. So kind of take what we have and make it your own, but don't consider it to be the holy grail or anything like that, because not every team's the same. So we've had the Bugmaster role for about 5 years now, and I've gone over all this before. It's typically seen as a stepping stone because it's so challenging to other work in the company, and yeah. So the first thing that we need to talk about is what is a bug. So we don't need a big scholarly definition of what it is. It's just something that doesn't work, an error producing an unintended effect. For our purposes, that's all we really need. And we don't really care about if bugs that haven't seen customers yet. So if JIRA hasn't been released yet, it's really just part of a feature that's not finished yet. I'm not going to include poor design in the definition of a bug, because a lot of the time this is if someone has misunderstood what that bug is, that feature's about. If there are two mutually exclusive features in JIRA, and two mutually exclusive behaviors in a feature in JIRA, and it's behaving one way, which we've chosen to make it behave, but someone expects it to behave another way, that's usually what the case is here. So I'm just going to exclude that. Usually what we do with those types of issues is we turn them into improvements and maybe add a toggle to make JIRA behave one way or the other, or the other way. This does add to complexity, which is something we try to avoid. And finally, if we just want to call it a bug, it's a bug. People don't really like it when we call a feature a bug. So what we've actually done is introduced a new type of issue. It's kind of half a feature, half a bug. It's a FUG. And that's a good one. So the most important thing, say we get a new issue coming in. We've got useless log messages whenever someone moves an issue. What do we do with it? The first thing that we do is, well, we see it by having a filter which we get a daily email from. It's very important to do this daily because some urgent things can come in, high priority security issues, for example, and you have to really respond to it. And the other thing that happens is people file support requests and you want to help them out as soon as you can, so you want to be able to send them to support all the right places. So every day is the most important thing here. And what we usually do is we triage it together. So it used to be me and someone else, now it's the new Bugmaster and someone else. That someone else is usually someone from support. The Bugmaster is a developer role. So what that means is that the reason we do that is because the person who's doing it needs to have an understanding of what's actually going to be involved in fixing a bug. You have to have someone who knows the product at a technical level rather than at just the behavior level. Otherwise, you can't really think about, is this going to be an easy bug to fix? Is it going to be difficult to fix? Is it actually related to this other feature which seems unrelated? So when we trialed having support doing the bug triage and managing the bugs, what we actually found was that they didn't really understand how all of that works together. So, yep. So the main thing about triage is make sure you do it daily, and yeah, I'll go on more about it. So we've got this bug. It's a warning bug. It's a logging bug. We're having logs filed at warn level instead of at info or debug, and maybe just someone forgot to take it out. But they've definitely been put there deliberately. You had to go out of your way to put that there. So is it an improvement request or is it a bug? Well, I just think it's a bug. It's another case of what we want to be a bug, it's a bug. So we get these, first thing we have to do is classify the bug. So we use a component. This happens when you move an issue, so it's an issue operation. So we give it that component. And then it's also, logging bugs are very easy. Probably the most difficult part of this bug is going to be figuring out whether we want to just delete the log message or move it to a different level. It's not very difficult to fix, so we add a slush label to it. Now, the slush is a set of bugs which are easy to fix. And what we do with these is, towards the end of the iteration or in between other work, we can just fit them in to get a little bit of extra value out of our iteration when we've got a bit of spare time. So yeah, components and labels, we use them slightly differently. For components, we typically use them to classify bugs and features as well along the areas of JIRA that are affected by that bug and the code that's involved in that. Whereas for labels, we look at the people who are affected by the bug. So to give you an example, and don't do this, it's a really bad example, we have an on-demand team, and we have code which runs in JIRA only in on-demand. So if you look at a JIRA bug and you see that it has the component on-demand, what that means is that that code is only affecting JIRA when it's running in on-demand mode. But if you see the label on-demand, what that means is maybe the on-demand supporters of the on-demand team want us to fix that bug, so it's specific to them. The other thing is that we use labels for is stuff like support hot issues, another way to identify certain classes of security bugs, and things like that. So metadata is what you use labels for, and we recommend use of components for areas of the code that are affected. So back to our bug again. We don't have a affected version on this bug. So one of the first things that we're going to need to do is ask Emma which version of JIRA that she's using. So that's important because if she's on an old version, then we can probably just tell her to upgrade. If she's on a milestone version, which isn't out yet, well, which isn't a final version yet, well, there's a good chance that we're going to remove that logging level anyway sometime soon. But if it's on the latest version, then we're probably going to need to really look at it because logging bugs tend to cause a lot of hassle, even though they're fairly minor. The other thing is that
I have trouble with that mic, if you could use that one.
Okay. Hello? I don't know if this is working. Is this working? Yeah? Okay. So the other thing is that, where was I? Oh yeah, so Emma has filed this as a blocker bug, and obviously it means a lot. It's very important to Emma, but the problem is that we kind of have to be a little objective about our bugs, about the priorities that we use. If you have one person coming in and say, look, my logging files are, looking a bit weird or whatever, and then someone else comes in with, JIRA doesn't start, it's not really fair on the person who's got JIRA not starting for whatever reason that those bugs are raised at the same level as a logging bug. So we have a set of objective criteria which we use, and what we'll do is we'll link that for Emma, and we'll also explain why we've reduced it to minor. We'll also use this opportunity to change to ask her for what the version is that she's hitting, that she's seeing this on. Now, we also will usually add a workaround. I haven't showed that this year, but the workaround is pretty simple. It's just change the logging levels in the JIRA system logging stuff. Right, so the only reason that we know about this bug is because we have a public tracker. So I would recommend for most people that what you should do is have a public tracker, even if it's just a way to get information back from your customers. It's a great way of getting market data. It's a great way of seeing what people are concerned about. Even if you don't make that public to everyone, just give them somewhere that they can report problems. It also lets us have conversations with customers, so we can say, look, is this, under what circumstances are you seeing this? how important is this to you? Lets us set expectations about whether we're going to fix the bug or not, and that being public lets other people see that. Now, customers sometimes also will provide us with a workaround, which we can include in our documentation, or they will provide us with a patch, which we can use to speed up the development usually. The other thing is that it's not a free ride. You're going to have to continue to garden your bug tracker over time. Right, so let's go back to our bug. We've got a vote on this bug, and we've got two comments from other people saying, hey, we're hitting this as well. We've got a support request as well. What happens with all of these things? Well, votes don't, but all the other things count as an update. So we're going to see this again when we triage tomorrow, which is today now. And there's a lot of activity. That's not surprising. Like I said earlier, logging bugs, people care a lot about. Now, the support issue is what I want to talk about here is the main thing. What we do is when someone raises a support request, then the supporter will verify, first of all, what version they're looking at, kind of like we did with the bug, and recommend an upgrade if possible, or they'll point the customer to the bug, and they'll also link the issue back to the support issue by putting a private comment on there like that. And what that lets us do is it lets us kind of dig down into the bug if we need to, and we can get some more information which will help us learn how to fix it. And it'll also let us know, kind of give an estimate of how many people are affected by this bug. So this counts, right? Filing support requests, comments, votes, these things matter to us. We do use these when we're figuring out which bugs to fix, and listening to your customers, it's important, right? All right, so talk about this again. Right, so over time we get a few more bugs coming in that are duplicates of this, probably in the same triage session. We just link these back to the issue and resolve them as duplicates. Again, this will let people find this bug more easily. And this is the other thing about the daily triage. You need to do it to close out duplicate issues, send people to support if they need some personal attention, or if they're developers, then send them to answers.atlassian.com so that they can solve, so they can ask there and benefit from the whole community. We generally try to aim for about 2 iterations worth of bugs in our backlog, but right now we have a few too many, as we'll see later. So we get some more comments coming in. This is affecting us too. When will this be fixed? If you fix this, I'll make all of your dreams come true. So this bug, it turns out after a little while, a little bit of investigation, that it's a new bug, and we've decided to fix it already. But how are we going to fix it? Well, because it's a new bug, what we can do is we can copy it across, we can treat it as a warranty bug. So the way that warranty bugs work in JIRA is, because we're a fairly large team these days, we actually have a separate team that does the bug fixing from the rest of the team. But that kind of means that the people who introduce the bugs, they never see them again. So what we've done is we've taken half of the bug fix budget, and we've given that back to the feature teams, and we said, look, here's more developer time to work on the features, but they better be good quality, because if they're not, you've got to fix your own bugs. So the warranty process lasts for 6 months after the release of the feature, which is about two releases. It's about 9 months since the original development starts. And the main thing about it is it pushes the responsibility for quality back onto the people who originally wrote that code. Now, if you notice earlier I said that we copy this across to another project. So this is because our team is fairly large. I would recommend that when you're starting out, you just have code, JIRA projects based on what your code repositories are. But as you grow larger, you might have to have teams which work across repositories. In that case, they want to track their issues in their own queue, so you can create a project for them. But generally try to avoid doing that because there's an extra overhead there. It is doable if you need to, and we have the remote issue copy plugin will help you with that. So the other thing that we do once we copy it across is we have to flag it as a warranty bug to make sure that it gets looked at. So there are two ways that we've tried doing that. We have added warranty, the word warranty, to the title to kind of flag people looking at issues directly, and we've also added our warranty label. At the moment, we're doing both because we haven't decided which one we like more, but probably the best is using the label because then you can always filter out those issues themselves. If you put warranty in the summary of the issue, then what can happen is you can have another word warranty in there for some reason, right? And you'll get some false positives, or you might misspell it and you get a false negative. With labels, there's autocomplete, so you can quickly select it. So let's say that we put the bug through, but either it wasn't actually a warranty bug, so we go back in time a bit and we determine it's not a warranty bug, or it turns out that it was an old bug and it's just starting to be seen now because of the way that JIRA's changed. So we need to fix it not using warranty. And we've got a lot of activity on it. And at this stage, a lot of people would say, wow, this is a really important bug, we need to fix it, and kind of cave into the pressure. So we are going to fix it, but we're not caving into the pressure. What we're going to do is kind of have a look at our priorities and say, yes, this bug is important to us. So when I started on the bug master role about 15 months ago, our goal for bug fix was, you have a lot of bugs, fix them. And that didn't really help with choosing which bugs to prioritize. So Atlassian's purpose is to unleash the potential in every team to advance humanity through the power of software. So translating that down into our prioritization process, we end up with about 5 broad areas that are applicable to us. So the first, these aren't in any particular order. The first is bugs that really affect customers. Then we have creeping normalcy, so lots of small bugs, and these generally correspond to our slush bugs. This is how we solve those. Purchasing and upgrades, bugs that prohibit that or prevent that. High support costs, so anything which is increasing the support count or producing tickets which take a long time, and bugs that are affecting lots and lots of people. And our bug is actually hitting 3 of these. It's not really hitting, people aren't going to not buy JIRA because of this. Hi. It's hard to hear over here. Can we? Right, you want me to hold it up here? Oh, sorry, okay. Yep. So we have, what was I? Yep, purchasing and upgrade are, nobody's not going to buy JIRA because of this, maybe a lot of these, but that's the creeping normalcy thing. And it's not really a severe impact. It might eat up a bit of disk space and might slow your JIRA down a tiny, tiny bit, but that's really all that is. It's not really going to affect either of those. But it is a bug that we can fix just to reduce the general bug count. It does raise our support costs because we have a lot of people filing bugs, and it seems to be affecting a lot of people. So yeah, we want to fix this bug. Now, what we found is that once we'd fixed all these urgent high priority bugs from those top 5 things, we still had a lot of older bugs that have been hanging around for a while, but we haven't fixed them because they were kind of high, like they were tough bugs. So what we decided to do was we'd have one person on the bug fix for an extended period of time, and we'd build up their knowledge on a certain theme of bugs. So in 5.2x, we fixed a bunch of LDAP bugs, and then we just continued to focus on the high impact and urgent bugs. And then in 6.0, we fixed a bunch of search bugs as well. And yeah, we always make sure that we have space for these high impact and urgent bugs. So I'll switch over to my rapid board. This is my rapid board that you see on jira.atlassian.com if you were logged in as me. At the top left, I have the enterprise escalations. So that just kind of lets me know what do enterprise customers care about. So the enterprise licensing gets you, I think, weekend support, and it's technically not a affect your roadmap kind of a license. But we do kind of care about what enterprise customers want, so we keep a bit of an eye on it. And so under that we have security bugs. I hid that because I wasn't sure what our security team would think of me making that available. So that's hidden. But we use a CVSS score, which is a common vulnerability scoring system to just rank those bugs, and we just continuously, whenever they come up, we fix whatever the latest one is. And I'll go over to the right here. These are I keep a list of bugs of critical and blocker severity. So these are the worst of the bugs. And if you have a look at recent times, we've got a few. The last day is probably just a support request that someone's filed as saying, please help me now. But over longer term, we're actually doing quite well on those. And I just want to talk about the other two gadgets that we use are the issue statistics and the two-dimensional filter gadget. So they're really useful for kind of honing in on an area or dividing up bugs by priority or theme and seeing which theme is doing the best, or which team, if you like. Now, going back to the middle, so these are all the valid JIRA bugs. So I've filtered out stuff like duplicates and invalid bugs. It does include obsolete bugs, but support requests and stuff like that they're all filtered out. And as you can see, we have the long-term trend there isn't looking great. So what we've done is we've just increased our bug fix investment, and hopefully we'll be seeing those lines change in the near future. What else do we have? Yep, so it's important to allocate the correct number of people to your bug fix process. So you want to kind of fix around about as many are coming in, including bugs you're closing as won't fix. We're a bit behind, so we need to, we've increased that, as I just said. Now, we fix in as few versions as possible. The thing about JIRA is that if you need to fix a bug in multiple versions, then what actually happens is you're going to be spending a lot more time fixing that bug, and that means that you're going to be fixing fewer bugs in total. So we've opted to instead fix more bugs, but only in single versions rather than going back a long way in time. And so it's a bit of a balance between which bugs, at what number of, how much time do you want to invest in any individual bug to make sure more people get it, versus fixing only in the most recent version, to allow yourself to fix more. Okay, so we've got our bug and we're going to fix it, so it gets dragged across to in progress. Now this is our Agile board. We have 4 swim lanes. We've got expedite at the top, which is the most important bugs. You see there's 19 issues in there. Sorry, they're the most urgent bugs. So you see there's 19 issues in there. What that actually is we move any in-progress issue up to the top swim lane so that we can see it all on one screen. And then everything else that's empty except for the last column, which is the done column. So that's a really useful way of splitting up your swim lanes so that you can only see the most relevant information at a time. You see that the end of iteration is kind of near the top, so we're approaching the end of the release here, so people will be pulling issues off there. And yeah, so at the end of the iteration, which is around about halfway through, which is 1 week left for us, that's when we do that. And I think it's more a week's time than halfway through that if you're going to do this, you should be having a look at. Now, here's the actual JQL which does that in the swim lanes. And if you have a look, it just kind of drops everything that's done to the bottom by filtering it out at higher levels. We also use the cumulative flowchart in JIRA Agile to kind of keep track of how we're going, and we use the control chart, which I'm not going to show you, to gather statistics over time. So we know what the typical minimum, maximum, median, and mean of each stage in our workflow is. And if that gets out of sync with what we typically expect, we know that something's up and we need to look into it. It might be good, it might be moving through things really quickly. So this is our JIRA workflow. Now, it's a bit simplified. I've taken out all the arrows that go backwards. Yep, I have taken out all the arrows that go backwards. And yeah, so the first thing we do is an issue comes in and it's open. And then when we that's for all the issues which we've decided not to fix in the short term for whatever reason. So then we move them over to awaiting development. And we don't really want to have too many in here. We've got about 100 at the moment. So we want to keep it at about maybe 30 or so. So we're trying to actively reduce that number at the moment. In progress is where our bug is now. And this is for any issues which are in review or something like that. And I just want to talk about our QA process for a little bit. So what we do is any issue, once the developer is happy with it, what we do is we get another developer to come along and test it, and they try to break the issue and see if there's any other problems with it. Because this way we avoid introducing any new bugs after we create this issue. And it's not simply running through a test script and seeing that it works. It's actually really trying to dig in there and see if there's anything wrong with it. Now, that's really important because what it does is it fosters a kind of quality mentality in the minds of the developers who are working on this. And again, it's all about you pushing the responsibility back onto the development team to make sure the quality is high. And I'm going to go off a little bit more here and talk about our feature development workflow, in particular about QA, because it helps prevent more bugs. And what we actually do is, before we start development, is the developer sits down with a quality assister and they run through the feature and try and look for things that might go wrong, and they talk about how they're going to fix the bug and how they can test it later on. Then they do all the development and then they test it again. But they test it themselves, and then they get more feedback from the quality assister to see if there's anything else that they need to look at. And once all that's done, then they move the issue to done. And during the in-progress, they can do reviews and stuff like that. Obviously, they write their tests. But again, the most important thing here is that the developers are the people ultimately responsible for the quality of the code. So there's two more kind of areas that I want to talk about here in our workflow. There's the verification steps. We don't verify bugs as they come in. If someone reports a bug, we just assume that whoever reported it knows what they're talking about. We actually use these statuses for older issues. So something that might be 3 years old, we may have rewritten the feature that was part of. Well, we don't want to verify it then and there, but we need to mark it as somehow, I think that this bug is actually obsolete, but I don't want to verify it yet. So we just stick it into needs verification. And then once we know that it's actually a genuine bug, we can put it back into verified again, or we can just close it as obsolete. And finally, there's the soak period. This is probably only relevant for companies who eat their own dog food, as they say. We call it dog fooding. And what we do is when JIRA is, when we go to cut a release of JIRA, we'll put it onto our internal servers for a while before we make it public to customers. So then after a week, we make it public to customers and the logging is no longer a problem. So the summary, the main things I want to get to are that we should be triaging every day. You should know what your priorities are for bug fixing. Your quality should belong to the people who actually make the changes. You shouldn't have a separate team who's responsible for making sure that the quality is high. And you don't have to use the same process for every issue in your system. You can use whatever's appropriate for whichever issue or team. Make it easy to give feedback and listen to that feedback. Thank you. I think we have some time for questions.
Questions, anyone?
I've seen some of your bugs where it says it's resolved for a certain release and therefore it shouldn't show up again. But then I've seen, wait, it's still showing up in 5 point something and it's still showing up in that. So do those get higher priority or do they move to the other group when the bug still continues to exist in new releases?
So regressions of older bugs, or just bugs that weren't actually fixed and we thought they were? Okay, which we don't know if they're fixed or not. So we generally, if we thought it was worth fixing in the first place, we'll probably prioritize it highly again. And usually we do give regressions a bit higher priority than we normally would because, we thought we'd fix this, we want to make sure it's fixed. But we don't have a hard and fast rule, which is, if a bug shows up again, then we have to fix it because there are other bugs which we could fix which might be more important.
Hi, I'm Girish, and I just want a small clarification from you because I would rather call it a bug because whenever I create an issue and on the create issue screen, if I put someone else's name as a reporter, then the audit trail shows up that the reporter created an issue. It won't show up my name there. So I contacted Atlassian support way back, maybe like 4 months ago, and they said it's a known issue, and we'll work on it. And still, I found no results from it. And they closed my issue, and they have linked it to one of the parent issue, and that parent issue is open since last year, almost maybe November 2012. So I just wanted to know, what roadmap do you follow whenever there is a feature request or, bug has been pointed out?
So what roadmap do we follow for a feature request? So our PMs decide, it's a little opaque to me, the exact roadmap exactly how they choose what features they want to work on. But I do know that we're looking at the general areas of improving issue tracking and enterprise at the moment, as well as scaling and improving stuff for our on-demand customers. Not that non-on-demand are not important, but anything that helps on-demand also helps the other customers. So this issue in particular, I don't think that's a high priority for us, but if it's not closed, it does mean that we still want to fix it. So I guess the question was, how do we choose what to fix? So right now it's what is causing us a lot of support load, or what is very easy to fix, and then we're alternating that with general areas that we're fixing bugs in, so like the LDAP and the search issues before. So this one sounds like it's kind of a standalone bug. So what would happen is if that issue starts to get a lot of votes or a lot of activity from different people on it, then that'll raise its sight in the bugmaster's eyes, and then it's more likely to get scheduled.
Okay, we're going to take one more over here because we're getting close on time.
There was someone up the back here as well. Okay.
Oh, this one should be quick and easy. What is a public tracker? I saw that outside and I have no clue what it is.
Okay, so a public tracker is just, I guess it's shorthand for an instance of JIRA, I guess if you like. Any other tracker's fine, but let's say JIRA, that's available on the internet for people to access, right? So it might mean that the issues are public, or it might just mean that people can report publicly. It's kind of, the idea is just to get people involved in giving you feedback so that you can hear it.
Hi, I had a question about, do you ever receive bugs via email? And if so, how do you enter that into your normal workflow? If you don't, what would you recommend for a software development team that does receive bugs via email?
So I personally don't, but I think sales do and support do a little bit. And generally they'll just turn it into a bug in JIRA. That's probably what I'd recommend. Maybe point customers to your instance, especially if you have an unlimited license where everyone can sign up or it's public, then and get them to report it themselves in future.
There are also some plugins on the Atlassian marketplace that grab emails and put them in JIRA automatically, if you guys aren't aware of those yet. Somebody had a question over here?
It's quick. So how long does a bug master tend to be in that nice role? And two, about how much of their time is usually spent being in that role? Is it 100%, 50%, whatever?
So how long does the bug master role last? So usually it's 9 to 12 months. How much of your time do you spend managing bugs? Probably about 50% of your time. That's managing the bugs, doing triage and stuff like that, as well as kind of making sure that the team has everything in the right state, making sure that, just that kind of management side of things.
All right, we can take more. All right.
I was kind of surprised when you said that you didn't verify each bug as they come in. One of the things that my organization struggles with is maintaining a level of quality in the bug reports that we have in the system so that our engineers aren't getting hit with a fire hose when they go into it. I was wondering if you could speak to any ideas or suggestions for maintaining that level of information.
Yeah, okay. So bugs that come in from our support team, we get them to follow our standard, kind of a bug standard. So they have what the expected behavior is, what the actual behavior that they're seeing is, and they also describe some symptoms and give a bit more of a description. And they also give steps to reproduce. So we have that standard for anyone reporting bugs from support, or we try and get the rest of Atlassian to follow it as well. Now, for customers coming in, let's say if you were to report a bug, we'd probably get support to handle it, or we'd ask, well, not to handle it, but to flesh it out a bit, or maybe we'd do it ourselves, or we'd ask you. Let's say, hey, can you provide any more information? Are there steps to reproduce this? And then we'd incorporate that into the description.
Cool. We have one more question, but also in case anyone sneaks out, I just wanted to tell you that all of the slides from these presentations will be available online after the fact. So I saw lots of note-taking and screenshot taking, so you can see the workflow that we use and the filter definition and stuff like that online. Summit.atlassian.com.
Thanks. I think you mentioned that you have a separate team doing bug fixing from the teams that are doing feature development work. Is that correct? That's correct. Can you talk a little bit about the thinking behind that split and why that came about?
Yeah, it kind of... Is this working? Yeah? Okay. So it kind of came about almost naturally as we just split up into smaller into teams. And for a while, that team rotated around. And so everyone would get a chance to fix bugs, but what would happen is that you've got a bug in the database connection or something, right? And then, but it's actually the front end team's turn to fix bugs. So they don't actually have any skills in that area. So that's when we settled to have one team that's consistently on bugs, and we also introduced the warranty fixing it around the same time. So that's kind of how it happened.
Ours is an old product. We've been in the market for about 45 years, so there's a lot of bugs. So do you have the concept of retiring bugs that's like 10 years old or 5 years old or things like that, or do you keep track of all bugs, and how do you prioritize those? Yes.
So do we retire old bugs? So in features which we decide we don't want to support any longer, such as I know about 6 months ago we deprecated SOAP. Then we closed all the bugs for that. I'm not a big fan of just closing all bugs that have no activity that are over 2 years old, right? Some other people do that, but I kind of feel like that's a bit of a cop-out, at least for me, but like a lot of other people do that. As far as prioritizing them goes, it's just against the same the same priorities that I said. And that's Atlassian priorities, at least on the JIRA team. So your company would have to choose your own.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for your time. On the main stage next is a Ship It Day thing.